So you are going to see that these equations that we are solving now and again, we have been talking of the equations, is because they are in different formats. But at the end, what we need is to find the value of the unknown. So under your exam condition, you can also have questions of this nature where you need to solve. Solve the following equations. That is what you're given. I talked about this, the expansion of brackets from the previous exercises that we had. Number one, we are given x squared minus x into the bracket of x minus 2, which is equal to 4. So I want you to see the only difference that you're going to have in this type of equation. Everything is just the same as what we had from the previous case, that we need to expand the brackets. And what is affecting the bracket, there is a bracket there. The part that is affecting this bracket is minus x, which is a term. There is a term now, if considering x. In the previous case, it was just a number that you're considering. So we are going to distribute everything by minus x to x, that will be minus x squared, minus x to this minus 2. So it's minus, that will be a positive 2x, which is equivalent or which is equal to 4. So don't be scared about this x squared that you're seeing. Dave, wondering what's happening now with this x squared. No, they will just cancel each other. This is just 1x squared minus 1x squared. So 1 minus 1, that's a 0. So it means this is no longer there. 1 minus 1, that's a 0. So you are left with only 2x, which is equal to 4, which is something that you're used to, where you can simply divide by 2. We talked about this. So x is going to be equal to 2. So make sure that you also watch the introductions of the other equations, how to solve basic linear equations. That's how that's the concept. So the issue is on the brackets. You have to expand your brackets, but later on, what is it that you are having? What type of expression do you have? 2x squared, or number 2, minus 7 minus x into the bracket of 2x plus 1 must be equal to. They just want you to be frightened. Once you see these, you get scared. There is a bracket, yes, the bracket of 2x plus 1. And what is affecting this bracket is the minus x, not the minus 7, not the 2x squared. No, the minus 7, the number that is the term outside of the bracket. So meaning to say, in this consideration that we are considering the term outside of the bracket. Okay, very sorry for that. You see, these softwares, guys, they just tend to misbehave. All right. So I wanted us to check number 2, this one, which is given as 2x squared minus 7 minus x into 2x plus 1, and that is equal to 0. So on this equation, we are going to see that what is affecting this part is the minus x. The bracket that we are considering here is this one. The term that is affecting this whole bracket, this one, is the minus x that you're considering. So meaning to say, I have to multiply each and every term by minus x in this bracket. I mean, that's the only bracket actually that we have there. So this part of 2x squared and minus 7, what's happened? There's nothing, there's no bracket. It's going to remain as it is. So we multiply by minus x everything. Minus x times 2x, which will be minus 2x squared. Minus x, it multiplies the 1, it becomes a minus x, and that's equal to 0. So considering the left-hand side, we can see that they are like terms, 2x squared minus 2x squared. So this will cancel. 2 minus 2, that's a 0. So this is automatically out. So you're just left with minus 7 minus x, which is equal to 0. So what is the value of x? You can just take advantage. It's a negative x here. So if I transpose it this side, it becomes a positive x. So x will be equal to what? To the minus 7. That is it. That is, x is equal to minus 7. So don't be afraid of this squared part, that the x squared that you're seeing. Don't be afraid about that. Expand your brackets as usual, as you are used to. All right, let's see number 4. On number 4, we are given 3x into the bracket of x minus 1 minus x into the bracket of 3x minus 1, and this is equal to x minus 6. No matter the number of expression, no matter the x's that we have, no matter how many that we have, just expand your brackets as usual. The first bracket is going to be affected by 3x. The second bracket is affected by minus x. The term that is there is minus 3x. So let's multiply. 3x times x, that will be 3x squared. 3x multiplies negative 1, that is going to be negative 3x. So 3x multiplies everything in the first bracket. The second bracket is distributed by negative x. So it's negative x multiplying 3, which is going to be negative 3x squared. Negative to a negative, that's going to be a positive x. And this is equal to x minus 6. After expanding the bracket, we can see that there are like terms. Collect those like terms. 3x squared minus 3x squared, it cancels. 3 minus 3, that's a 0. So we are left with minus 3x and a positive x, meaning to say we are left with minus 3x plus 1x. Minus 3 plus a 1, that is a minus 2. So this is minus 2x, which is equal to x minus 6. So we are back again to the issue that we have to collect the like terms, since this is a normal linear expression. So collect this x to this side of the equation, it becomes a negative. The moment that it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a negative. So that's minus 2x minus x, which is equal to minus 6. Minus 2x minus x means what? That's a minus 1. So it's minus 2 minus 1, which is minus 3. So that's minus 3x, which is equal to minus 2. So to determine or to have the value of x, since we are multiplying by negative 3, we divide by that negative 3, which is multiplying. So if you do this, you are going to obtain a positive 2. So that's the value of x in this case was going to give you a positive 2, or just use your calculator in this division. You're going to see that your x was going to be a positive 2. So that's it with the x that you are given. You can even test that value and see if you're having the same thing. So these are the typical questions, all this part that you are having. Even if there are two brackets, just like number 11, the bracket of x plus 3 into the bracket of x minus 3 minus x squared is supposed to be equal to 3x. So there we are still having the brackets, but there are two brackets. So using the FOIL method, remember, there are two terms to be considered, the term of x and also the constant, which is the plus 3. So I said, just expand, guys, just expand the normal way. Make sure that x multiplies everything in the second bracket. That's it. If you just do it like that, you're done. Just let x multiply everything in the second bracket. X multiplies with x, that is going to be x squared. X multiplies with the last term, which is the minus 3 at the end there. So it's x and minus 3, which is minus 3x. You move on to the inner part, which is the positive 3x and the positive 3 and the x. You're done with x, you move on to positive 3. So positive 3 times x, that is going to be positive 3x. Then we've got positive 3 and a minus 3. So 3 times minus 3, that's a negative 9. So this is equal to 3x. This is equal to 3x. So unfortunately, this time we do not. Okay, guys, I left. Okay, I was like wondering what is happening. There is a minus x squared here. We expanded our brackets, but if you check, there is a minus x squared here. So minus x squared is equal to 3x. I was actually saying, unfortunately, it's not like what we had. But anyways, if we check here, we are back 1x squared minus 1x squared, which is minus x squared. So x squared minus x squared, that's a 0 there. Okay. On the left-hand side, we can see that also there's a minus 3x and a positive 3x. Minus 3 plus 3, that's a 0 again. So you're just left with a minus 9. So that's minus 9 is equal to the 3x on the right-hand side. So to find x, simply divide by 3, divide by 3. That means our x here is going to give us negative 3 over 9, which is -3. So therefore, x is what? Is -3. Remember, if A is equal to B, it follows that B is also equal to A. That's the idea. Know your equations. Know your equations. Each type of equation that you are given, know it. Know your equations. Each type. So I'm not gonna like solve everything here. I want you to try as many questions as you can. But that is how you're going to have these typical questions. Even if you're given these squared, like what we're having on number 16, we are given that is on number 16, it's x into the bracket of x -3 minus x minus 2 squared, and this is equal to 0. So with this equation that we are given here, we can see that the x that we have, there's an x out of the bracket, which is supposed to expand our bracket, which is true. But if we check on the other hand, here we also have this x minus 2 squared. 2 brackets to be considered there. There are 2 brackets to be multiplied. So meaning to say I'm having x into the bracket of x minus 3 minus the 2 brackets x minus 2 into the bracket of x minus 2. And this is equal to 0. So for you not to be mistaken, expand the 2 brackets first. The answer that you have, you multiply it to this negative, because there is a negative also to affect the answers, was the same as -1 times this. Okay. So let's start with the first bracket. The x there is going to be distributed into the second bracket. But if you check this situation, there is an x which is going to be used together with the -2. So you consider to say, which part am I working with first? All right, but it's best that you start with the x then to 2. So that's this bracket will multiply the second one. All right, so here x and x, that is going to be x squared. X times -3, that is going to be -3x. We are done. So there is a -1 in this case. Then consider these 2 brackets. Like I said, you distribute using the FOIL method. So the x is going to multiply this x times x, which is x squared. All right. The x is also to multiply this -2. So that will be -2x. We are done with x. We are done. We move on to -2. It multiplies x, -2 times x, that is -2x. -2, it multiplies the -2. So negative times negative, that is a positive. So it will be +4, which is equal to 0. All right, so on this part, there's nothing that I'm going to do. I'm just going to have my x squared minus 3x. All right, so like I was saying, the minus that we are seeing here is supposed to expand each and every term inside this bracket. The -1 is the one in contact with the bracket, this one. So you distribute everything now by -1. So that is going to be -1 times x squared, which is -x squared. -1 times this 2x. So if you multiply negative, it's a +2x. Negative times this negative, it's a +2x. Negative times this positive, it's a -4, and that's equal to 0. So we are back to the idea of the like terms. So this is same as I've got 1x squared minus x squared. So 1 minus 1, that's a 0. To the part of x, I'm having -3x, 2x, and 2x. So meaning to say I'm going to add -3 plus a 2, which is going to give us a -1. So -3 plus a 2, that's -1. Then we add another 2, this one. So if we add this 2, it's going to be a +1x, which is x. But there is a -4 there. So that's x minus 4, which is equal to 0. So x is going to be what? Transpose the -4 to the other side of the equation. It becomes a positive. So that's 0 plus 4. So meaning to say at the end, our x was going to be 0 plus 4, which is a 4. So that's the value of x. So x is equal to a 4. That's the value of x, which satisfies this equation that we can see here. That's the idea. So what are you given? What are you given? That's the question. You work with that. Expand properly your brackets, you will see that you won't even go wrong. You won't even go wrong. All right. So there are so many questions for you to try. Just gonna give you this platform to try as many questions as you can. Considering number 17, we are given 3x minus 4 into the bracket of 3x plus 4 minus, this is 3x minus 2 squared, which is equal to 0. So that is what you're given there. So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to expand the given brackets. So there we've got the difference of 2 squares. There we've got the 2 brackets to be considered. X minus this squared. So expand your brackets as usual. All right, let's just rewrite this as usual. 3x minus 4 into the bracket of 3x plus 4 minus. So there we're going to have 2 brackets to be considered. The bracket of 3x minus 2 and also the bracket of 3x minus 2 multiplied together. So just like the previous case, what we had that this bracket, there is a 3x and there is also a minus 4 to be considered. So you distribute each. So start with the 3x, multiply everything by 3x, 3x times 3x, 3 times 3, that will be 9x squared. 3x times a 4, 3 times 4, that's a 12. So this will be 12x. You're done with the 3x. You move on to the negative 4. The negative 4 multiplies everything. So it's negative 4 times x, which is going to be negative 12x. The negative 4 multiplies the positive 4. So that will be a negative 16. So there, take note that the minus 1 that you see here is to expand whatever that you're going to have here in these 2 brackets. The answer that you obtain, you multiply it to the minus 1. So there is a minus 1 that is going to expand, that is going to multiply the answer to these 2 brackets. Again, with the same situation or the same scenario that we had, the 3x and the minus 2 concept, multiplying the second bracket, just like what we saw, the 3x is going to distribute this, 3x and 3x, that will be 9x squared. 3x multiplies minus 2, that will be minus 6x. 3 times 2 minus 2. We are done with 3x. With the same concept, minus 2 multiplies everything. So it's minus 2 multiplying x, multiplying 3x, so it will be minus 6x. Minus 2, it multiplies the minus 2, minus and minus, that will be a positive, and that's a positive 4. So this whole part that we are having must be equal to 0. That's it. So don't worry about what you're going to have at the end. This part will just simplify on its own. So here we can even collect the like terms. As we can see, I've got 12x and minus 12x. 12 minus 12, this one is going to give us a 0. So we are left with 9x squared minus 16x. So this is minus 16x minus 1 into this bracket. So minus 1 is supposed to expand everything in this bracket. So what does it mean? It's minus 1 distributing this bracket. Minus 1 multiplies 9x squared. So that will be 9 minus 9x squared. Minus 1, it multiplies minus 6. That will be a positive 6x. All right. Minus 1, it multiplies this minus 6x. So it will be a positive 6x. Minus 1 also multiplies the positive 4. So it's minus 4, and that's equal to 0. That's the idea there. So with this same concept that you have of collecting your like terms, you are going to see that the 9x squared minus 9x squared, that's a 0 there. This cancels. They are the same. Considering same terms, this one, 9x squared minus 9x squared. So 9 minus 9, that's a 0. So thus we are left with the constants, this and that, and also the part of x. This is 6x plus 6x. So that will be a positive 12x. The numbers minus 16 and the minus 4, that's a negative 20, which is equal to 0. It's an equation equal to 0 there. So if 12x minus 20 is equal to 0, it means 12x will be equal to transpose the negative 20 on this side, it becomes a positive. So that's 0 plus 20, which is a positive 20 divided by 12. since you are multiplying, to determine the exact value of x. So that's 20 over 12, which was going to give you a 5 over 3. So that was going to give us 5 over 3 if we divide properly on your calculator. Be able to verify, be able to notice each and every step that it is taken properly or not in exam condition. Be able to do that. Be able to analyze the situation. Be able to do that. So these are the typical questions that you can see that we are having on this. So I want us to try as many questions as we can. Where there's a challenge, let us communicate on the comment section. And don't forget, if you're new, to subscribe to this channel so that you receive more of this content, more of these videos from Maison African Motives. Till we meet again.